The structure of light. Light has a plasma structure similar to that of proton and electron plasma, and is composed of a mixture of magnetic field forces, MEFs. The difference is that light has a dynamic helical cylindrical composite MEFs plasma structure, unlike the dynamic spherical composite MEFs plasma structure of matter, such as neutron plasma. Mehran Tavakoli Keshe, April 27, 2011. Terminology. MEFs, abbreviation for magnetic fields. Magnetic refers to the plasma of magnetic fields created by a dynamic entity, such as the Earth's magnetic field. Magraphs stands for magnetic and gravitational fields, represents the balance and interaction between the magnetic, repulsion, and gravitational, attraction components of an entity. Optics. This stands for plasma magnetic rays, the fundamental unit of energy. Principal matter. This is what is called antimatter in conventional physics. It is the original source of all matter, from dark matter to visible matter. Principal MEFs. These are the magnetic fields found at the principal force levels. They are considered hundreds of times stronger than the magnetic fields that make up visible matter. Principal star. This is the entity that is called a black hole in conventional physics. Transition energy. This is what is called dark energy in conventional physics. It is defined as puntics in motion that transition from the strength of the principal MEFs to the strength of the matter MEFs. Transition matter. This is what is known as dark matter. This refers to the state in which puntics are in a transitional state between primary matter and tangible matter. Transition mass. These are magnetic fields with a strength level between primary mass and matter mass. GANs. This is an acronym for a new state of matter. It is a gas molecule that transitions to the nanostate of itself and appears in a solid state. Let's begin. All the knowledge gathered and learned by humankind in every field of science throughout its cycle of scientific evolution, from the beginning of time to this moment, is like a grain of dust compared to the universal wisdom that humanity will enjoy from the knowledge revealed in this disclosure. This will not be all that humanity needs to know about its creation and the Creator, but through this new knowledge, humanity will come closer to understanding how much more it needs to discover and learn about the larger created universe. Our hope is that we have succeeded in bringing humanity to its highest point of maturity regarding its world and the world of other creatures in the universe through what will be revealed in this book. In this new series of disclosures, including this one, we will open the world of science to an understanding of the true workings of the universe and how humanity can advance its intelligence, and how this new and hitherto unknown science can pave the way to bringing peace to the wandering life of humanity and other intelligent beings in the universe. With current knowledge of plasma technology and the new understanding of the internal structure of plasma, light is and can be considered a cylindrical version of spherical plasma, like that of the proton, and light plasma possesses the three magnetic fields of plasma matter. The light beam possesses magraphs, magnetic and gravitational fields, and, therefore, its own gravity, mass, and magnetosphere. Due to its dynamism, this light plasma possesses momentum and can therefore transport and transfer this momentum as energy to other light beams, tangible and intangible entities. As the light plasma moves from one spherical plasma of dynamic magnetic field strength to another, and as the matter masses of each light plasma interact with the plasma magnetic fields of their surroundings in any given matter environment, the appropriate components of the light matter masses and their ever-present environment interact with the same and different matter masses and matter masses in their environment. This leads to less loss of plasma magnetic field content, puntics, from the matter masses of the light beam, and thus allows light to travel in any environment at the speed of the plasma magnetic field strength of its given environment with less friction and at maximum speed at that given PMTIC strength. Therefore, in the matter environment, where the magnetic fields of matter and matter are strong, this property allows light to travel at the speed of light, as observed by humans. And in the antimatter environment, antimatter light travels at the speed of light. The speed of light in an antimatter magnetic field is much higher than the speed of light in the matter-containing plasma magnetic field environment. Therefore, the speed of light in the matter environment is not the maximum speed of matter in the universe. Rather, the speed of light is dictated and controlled by the strength of the ambient magnetic field in which light operates. It is possible to achieve speeds faster than the speed of light in a matter-containing magnetic field environment by utilizing the magnetic field properties of antimatter plasma fields. Once this criterion and concept are understood, at this stage one will encounter magnetic force barriers to overcome, just as one encounters the sound barrier in the matter environment. Therefore, one must understand the truth about the actual construction of light and its movement in every plasma magnetic field strength environment, so that humanity can traverse the vastness of the universe with the pleasure of observing and learning the whole truth about creation in all the plasma magnetic field forces operating within it. Chapter 1. The reclassification of matter and conditions. In this literature, when the term mass is used, for example, in the context of antimatter mass, it signifies and refers to the magnetic fields, mass, from which this entity is made, and it is considered a plasma of magnetic fields. This usage of mass is similarly applied to physical matter and dark matter as well. Furthermore, the difference between antimatter and matter lies solely in the strength of their plasma magnetic fields, and the compactness of their fields. Thus, what are the magnetic fields, mass, of antimatter become the magnetic fields of matter as the magnetic fields of antimatter unwind, loosen, and weaken in their field strength through their interaction with other magnetic fields and matter, becoming matter mass. And in the plasmatic magnetic field strength of the matter environment, the matter mass become tangible and transform into matter. Therefore, antimatters are entities of more compact magnetic field strength than the magnetic fields of matter, and due to the strain on their fields, these magnetic fields of matter mass create stronger gravitational and magnetic fields and thus possess stronger magraphs. Upon unwinding, they release magnetic and pneumatic fields that are faster, stronger, and therefore appear to be strange, powerful, and fascinating matter. This means that an entity of antimatter, for example, 10 centimeters in diameter, once it unwinds into its structure, becomes an entity of matter several thousand meters in diameter within the magnetic field strength environment of matter. Inevitably, one should call the initial matter the term antimatter, and therefore, antimatter should be renamed prime matter. The principle of transition matter and light as plasma. Mr. Keshe details Lord Keshe's vision of the composition of light and the nature of dark matter and dark energy, redefining the latter as transition phases of magnetic fields. Prime matter and the transition of mass. Lord Keshe states that prime matter, antimatter, does not have a uniform magnetic field strength, mass, but rather a spectrum of forces. The observable matter we know is the result of the unwinding of these mass. Unwinding process. Mass of main matter, more compact, disperse and lose strength through interaction, friction, with other mass. Dark matter as a transition. Dark matter consists of transition mass that move from the strength of main matter towards the strength of observable matter. It is a transition state or phase in the spectrum of plasma magnetic field strength, (TICS). Renaming and concepts. Dark matter should be redefined as transition matter. Dark energy should be redefined as transition energy, since energy is defined as moving magnetic fields, transition mass matters in motion. Transitional magraphs. These are created by transitional mass. Black holes and the origin of matter. Home of main matter. Main matter plasma exists everywhere, including the centers of the universe, galaxies, stars, and the proton-electron plasma center. Main stars. What is called a black hole is actually the home of main matter. Therefore, black holes should be renamed main stars. The seed of creation. The intensity and strength of stars and planets come partially from PMTICS, the force of the main matter. Magnetic plasma mass, released by these prime stars. The seed of the plasmas necessary for the creation of galaxies and stars comes from the mass of prime matter. Light is not energy, but physical plasma. Mr. Keshe challenges Einstein's assumption that light is simply energy traveling at maximum speed, arguing that light is a physical plasma entity with mass and gravity. Light has magraphs. The fact that light bends, or, more precisely, positions or maneuvers around large objects like stars indicates that it possesses a magnetic and gravitational entity structure, magraphs. Cylindrical entity. Light is a cylindrical physical plasma entity, in contrast to the spherical shape of proton-electron plasma. Composition of light. Light is composed of 3 layers of mass, just like spherical plasma. Center, mass of prime matter, strongest. Next layer, mass of transition matter. Outer layer, mass of matter, weaker. Mass and magnetosphere. Since light possesses magravs, gravity, and magnetic fields, it has mass and its own magnetosphere. Lights with greater intensity and that travel longer distances possess greater mass. Visibility of light. Light becomes visible when the magnetosphere of the light plasma interacts with the magnetosphere of the surrounding environment, creating friction that releases residual magnetic fields in the spectrum that can be detected by the protein sensors of the human eye. The metamorphosis of light. The light beam is a dynamic transition of matter to move rapidly through the universe, double metamorphosis. The plasma uses a double metamorphosis process for maximum mass transfer. First conversion, the spherical plasma, e.g., an atom, is converted into the fast-moving cylindrical entity, the light beam. Second conversion. Upon reaching its destination, another spherical plasma entity, the light beam reverts to a spherical shape, fusing and amalgamating all its mass, main matter, transition matter, and matter, with the target plasma. Total matter transfer. When light energizes an atom, it not only excites the electron but also increases the total mass of all the atom's components, proton, neutron, and electron, confirming that light transfers all its mass, not just energy. Light magnetism. The flow of magnetic fields within the light beam, in the plasma's force spectrum, not at the electron level, should be called light magnetism instead of electromagnetism. The term light magnetism is introduced to describe the flow of magnetic fields within the light structure, differentiating it from traditional electromagnetism. Light magnetism is the flow of plasma magnetic fields, PMTICs, circulating within the layers of magnetic fields, MAFs, that make up the cylindrical plasma of light. Electromagnetism. This is associated with the strength of electron magnetic fields, which is in the force spectrum of matter. Light magnetism. This is a flow of PMTICs that operates in the force spectrum of light plasma. Its current flow is considered more powerful than electromagnetism. This is because the structure of light contains a higher concentration of principal MIFS, the strongest central fields, compared to electromagnetism, which only operates in the matter spectrum. Structure and function. The internal flow of light magnetism is what allows light to maintain its integrity and move efficiently. Composition. As a cylindrical plasma composed of main matter, center, transition, and matter, outer layer, MAFs, light magnetism describes how these different fields flow and organize themselves internally. Energy source. Light is energized from the central region, where the strongest main MAFs reside. This characteristic is the reason why light can travel long distances and appear to be only energy rather than an entity with mass. Motion. This internal flow dynamic of the main MAFs unwinding outward gives light its property of high forward speed and Chapter 2. Relationship to the creation of life. According to Keshe technology, the creation of life depends on the conversion of plasma energy into the correct magnetic field spectrum, a process facilitated by light transitions. Soft X-ray release. The creation of life occurs when the light beam, cylindrical plasma, slows down and converts its magnetic fields within a matter environment. MAF conversion. The plasma traveling in the light beam slows down within a matter environment, transitioning from the strength of the primary MAFs to the strength of the matter MAFs. Creation of life. The conversion of the matter MAFs of light to the strength of the matter field leads to the creation or release of plasma fields in the soft X-ray range, which are the essence of the creation of life. This suggests that soft X-rays are not a harmful byproduct, but rather the fundamental plasma magnetic field force that activates and sustains biological processes in life. Interaction with human protein. The visibility of light itself and its interaction with living organisms depend on biological structures. Sensory detection. When light magnetism/cylindrical magravs, comes into contact with the terrestrial environment, spherical magravs, the resulting friction releases residual magnetic fields in the strength range of the human protein magravs. The eye. It is the visual sensors with the PMTIC structure of the human protein chain that detect the interface of this field interaction, which humans call visible light. The essence of life. This implies that human life, at a physical level, is tuned to interact and operate within a specific maggrav spectrum. The plasma fields that the body and life need for their existence and nourishment, including health and consciousness, are intrinsically linked to these transitions of PTX, like soft X-rays, that light releases. In short, light magnetism describes the powerful internal engine of light. The creation of life is related to the manifestation of this power. The transition of light's MAFs releases the specific field force, PTX, necessary to sustain life, identified as the force of soft X-rays. Human protein magravs. This concept is based on the central premise that every entity, including biological ones, is a plasma of magnetic fields, MAFs, that possesses its own gravitational and magnetic field, magravs. Protein as a plasma entity. Field composition. Protein, the fundamental structural and functional component of life, is not viewed merely as a chemical molecule. In the Keshe framework, a protein is a dynamic plasma structure with its own plasma magnetic field strength, PTX. Intrinsic magravs. Protein chains, like planets or protons, possess their own magravs, magnetic and gravitational fields. These magravs are crucial for their function, folding, and stability. Tuning and visibility spectrum. The concept becomes vital when applied to light interaction and detection. Biological filter. Human eyes contain visual sensors with a PMTIC structure that corresponds to the field strength of the human protein chain. Force coincidence detection. Light traveling through the universe, light magnetism, consists of a broad spectrum of field forces, main, transition, and matter magravs. When a light beam enters Earth's maggrav environment and collides with it, friction occurs. This friction releases residual magnetic fields. Visible light. Only those released fields that match the field strength of the human protein magravs become visible light to us. In other words, visible light is a specific field frequency that is compatible with the plasma of our biology. The visibility of light is not an absolute, universal property of light, but rather an interaction event determined by the field strength of our biological sensing system, our protein. Connection to the creation of life. As mentioned earlier, the creation of life depends on the strength of the plasma field, and the human protein magravs establish the threshold. Receptor of life. Soft X-rays are the field strength released during the conversion of the light magravs that Lord Keshe identifies as the essence of the creation of life. This suggests that the human protein magravs are tuned to absorb and resonate with this specific field strength in order to sustain themselves and function. In summary, human protein magravs define the interface between the vast field dynamics of the universe, light magnetism, planetary magravs, and our physical and sensory experience of reality. Chapter 3. Protomagnetic Fields and Power. Hidden within plasma. Lord Keshe introduces the concept of protomagnetic fields as a fundamental power source that current science does not understand, and that is key to the future of technology. Protomagnetic fields are described as a current flow of packed magnetic fields more powerful than known electromagnetic fields. Different scale. They operate on a completely different measurement scale than electromagnetism. Power source. Knowledge of protomagnetic fields is the cornerstone that allows stars to create their powerful gravitational and magnetic fields. Technological application. Their use is crucial for future space reactors. They would allow the construction of smaller and much more powerful systems by factors of several orders of magnitude than electromagnetism-based reactors. This would facilitate lifting enormous masses with only a few grams of fuel. Light magnetism, magnetism of light. Light magnetism is the concept introduced by Keshe to describe the flow of fields within the light plasma. Light mag, current flow. This refers to the flow of plasma magnetic fields, PTX, circulating within the cylindrical structure of light. Light mag field strength. This is considered a more powerful current because it derives its strength from the most compact and fundamental fields. Origin of light mag MAFs. Its power comes from the MAFs of the principal matter or antimatter, which is the densest and strongest magnetic field plasma. Light, having its core formed by these principal MAFs, can maintain and transport this superior energy throughout the universe. Electromagnetism. Electromagnetism, as understood in conventional science, is reinterpreted in Keshe theory as a phenomenon of a weaker magnetic field. Electromagnetic current flow. This is the flow of plasma magnetic fields, PMTICs, associated with the electron. Electromagnetic field strength. This is considered weaker compared to light magnetism or protomagnetism, as it operates within a lower field density spectrum. Origin of electromagnetic fields. These originate from the matter field, the plasma force of an electron. The electron is the manifestation of less compact and more uncoiled fields, which defines the strength limit of electromagnetism. Relationship with protomagnetism. Protomagnetic fields are essentially the manifestation of the force inherent in light magnetism. While electromagnetism is based on the weaker and more uncoiled component of the plasma, matter/electron, light magnetism, and by extension protomagnetism, are based on the stronger and more compact component, the principal component. This implies that, for space technology, it is much more efficient to use the more powerful fields of light magnetism/protomagnetism, which are activated by the principal MAFs, instead of the less powerful ones of electromagnetism, MAFs of matter. Chapter 4. Conversion of light and creation of matter. Mr. Keshe explains that light, cylindrical plasma, is the moving seed that becomes all the matter in the universe, challenging current theories about atomic origin. From light to fundamental matter. Light, due to its mixture of MAFs, has the ability to convert directly into the fundamental units of matter upon reaching a suitable environment. Light to neutron. In most cases, if light has a sufficient mixture of MAFs, it converts directly into the complex neutron plasma, fundamental plasma, upon reaching its destination. Light to atom. Hydrogen. If a beam of light contains a significantly larger mass, MAFs, than required, it can be converted directly into the structure of an atom, such as hydrogen, without undergoing nuclear decay, neutron decay. The creation of electrons. Cylindrical light often contains moving internal entities that maintain its plasma coherence. Internal vortices. Slow external fields interacting with the faster internal principal MAFs create small vortices in the vicinity of the transition MAFs. Electron seeds. These vortices trap MAFs and fix them within the internal structure of the light. When the light is converted into an atom, these trapped MAFs become the atom's electrons. Refutation of the Big Bang and cooling. Mr. Keshe refutes the theory that the first atoms were created when the universe cooled, based on the continuity of plasma processes. Atoms are created by reduction of MAFs. Atoms are created by the reduction in the plasma field strength of light MAFs, not by cooling. WMAP evidence. The world map of the universe, WMAP, shows an equilibrium heat distribution. The universe is homogeneous and uniform, which is incompatible with the hypothesis of a universe that has been cooling after an initial, hot explosion, Big Bang. The central origin of the universe. The concentration of heat observed at the center of the WMAP confirms that the universe began from a central line with a high concentration of principal mass. The universe is being created from the inside out, as light from the principal MAFs radiates outward, unwinds, and creates transition and matter MAFs. The universe expands and divides. The expansion of the universe is due to the principal MAFs at the center unwinding and creating increasingly larger spheres of MAFs. When the central magravs can no longer contain the expansion, the universe divides into two universes of lower mass, repeating the principle observed in neutron decay. Chapter 5. The unifying spectrum and the powering of the universe. The division of matter, whether at the level of a subatomic particle or the entire universe, follows an identical principle, unwinding. The universal spectrum of MAFs. The structure of any plasma, such as the neutron, can be visualized as a coiled mechanical spring. The tightly coiled center is analogous to main matter, antimatter, a compact core of energy. As this spring unwinds, it releases fields of lesser strength. These transitioning and opening fields are the transition MAFs, dark matter. Finally, by reducing their strength and opening up even further, these fields reach the spectrum of matter, which is where visible light and lower magnetic fields are found. The entire process, from main matter to matter, forms a continuous magnetic field spectrum that connects all of creation, called the universal magnetic field spectrum. Plasma division, neutron and universe. This same principle explains neutron division. The neutron divides by injecting MAFs of varying quantities and masses into the new environment, creating the proton-electron plasma. The proton does not heat up, which refutes the idea of a Big Bang on a microscale, but rather the neutron's principal mass expands, unwinding into the transition and matter mass that form the new proton-electron plasma. The total interaction of these fields within the capture zone is called the universal structure of the plasma magnetic field. Universe. The same process occurs at a cosmic level when a universe divides, maintaining the original magravs while creating new entities, universes, or particles. Light as the fuel of the cosmos. The universe was not only created by this principle, but it is also sustained by it. Conversion in the Oort cloud. Light rays emitted by the sun, which are moving mass, travel to the outer reaches of the solar system, such as the Oort cloud. Here, due to the vacuum conditions and the strength of the surrounding mass, the light slows down and is converted into particles, neutron plasma, atoms, and matter. Rain inward. These new atoms and particles, including neutrinos, fragments of main mass from the sun and Earth's core, are drawn back toward the star by the sun's strong gravitational and magnetic fields. Recycling. This process is a constant recycling cycle. The sun emits light. The light is converted into matter at the outer limits, and that matter, such as comets and meteoroids, rains back into the inner system. This new matter, hydrogen and oxygen atoms, is absorbed by the giant gas planets and mixed, keeping the solar system active and dynamic. Therefore, the sun continuously feeds on the materials it has emitted in the form of light. Conversion of light into GANs, gas in nanosolid state. The concept of GANs is fundamental to understanding the creation of lightweight and flexible structures, such as biological ones, from light. Definition of GANs. GANs is a solid state of matter in which a gas atom becomes an individual, free solid atom. Essentially, it is matter in its nanostructural form, solid but with loose magnetic bonds. Key difference. The GAN state does not depend on the strength of external magnetic fields, such as pressure or cold, to maintain its structure, as ice, which is solid matter, does. Instead, GANs is dependent on the internal magnetic and gravitational field strength of the atom itself. Structure. The GANs of an atom is a three-dimensional solid structure in its free state where its mass are entangled due to the force of its own internal magrav. Creation of GANs from light. When light reaches cold regions with low magrav strength, such as the Oort cloud, it is converted into elemental hydrogen atoms, which in turn stabilize into E. The GAN state. Mechanism. Light, the cylindrical plasma, slows down and becomes a neutron, which then undergoes nuclear decay to become a hydrogen atom, proton plus electron. Stabilization. Under the low gravitational and magnetic conditions of the outer regions, this elementary atom adopts the GAN state of hydrogen instead of the atomic or nano state. Application to life. The GAN state is the reason why biological molecules possess the flexibility necessary for life. Biological flexibility. Cellular structures like the amino acid GANs molecule have tangible, flexible, and soft characteristics and can be easily manipulated, rather than being rigid and hard structures. This essential flexibility is due to the fact that matter is held together by the force of its internal magravs and not by rigid external atomic bonds. Chapter 6. Technological application of GANs, plasma reactors. GANs is the core fuel in Lord Keshe's plasma reactor designs, as it provides a stable and manageable way to interact with the magnetic field spectrum. The main value of GANs lies in its physical state. It is a solid nanostate of gaseous matter where atoms are held together by their own internal magravs, soft magnetic bonds, rather than by rigid atomic bonds. Plasma interaction. Because GANs is a solid-state plasma, it allows the magravs of the system, the reactor, to interact directly with the mass and magravs of the environment, achieving field equilibrium. Condition creation. The GANs within a reactor, e.g., CO2 or CuO GANs, creates a controllable magnetic field environment. When the GANs interacts with the surrounding plasma, its magravs adjust to balance, resulting in the release or absorption of energy or mass. Energy generation and propulsion. Keshe plasma reactors, often called magravs units, use GANs to create a field differential that borrows energy from the universal environment. Potential difference. Magravs. The reactor is charged with different GANs. Each GANs has a specific magrav strength. The interaction between these different magravs of the GANs and the ambient magraphs, e.g., that of the Earth, creates a field differential. Energy absorption. This differential allows the system to aspirate and absorb mass from the environment, which are the true transition energy or dark energy in motion. The system seeks equilibrium, and in doing so, draws energy from the field. Universal. Space propulsion. For propulsion, the reactor uses GANs to create a magravs that mimics and surpasses the planet's gravitational field strength. By manipulating its own magravs, the system can position itself relative to Earth's field, allowing movement and hovering without the need for chemical propulsion. Application of GANs in health. In the health field, GANs are used to interact with and correct imbalances in the magravs of the human body. Repair of cellular magravs. Disease is viewed as an imbalance of MAFs and magravs at the cellular or organ level. Disease cells have a weakened or incorrect magrav. Specific GANs. GANs of elements that have a field strength, identical or complementary to the components being treated are used. For example, CO2 GANs, used to interact with the MAFs of cells and the nervous system, helping to balance cellular energy. GANs of ZNIC, used to interact with the MAFs associated with emotions and the brain system. Field transfer. The GANs is introduced near the body or into the environment in an aqueous medium. Since the GANs is an atom-free plasma, only its magnetic fields are radiated. The stronger or more balanced magravs of the GANs interact with the weakened magravs of the body. Balance search. According to the universal principle, stronger fields, the GANs, nourish weaker fields, the diseased cell, until a new magrav balance is reached. This is not a transfer of matter, but a transfer of MAFs, allowing the cell to regain its field strength and resume its proper function. Amino acid GANs. Amino acid GANs, created by the interaction of the GANs with water and ambient CO2, is key to health. Plasma nutrition. Amino acid GANs is essentially the raw material of life in its natural state. More fundamental plasma. By exposing the body to the magravs of this amino acid, the body can directly absorb the MAFs necessary to build or repair its own protein chains and cellular structures. This becomes a form of field nutrition. Flexibility. As mentioned, the GAN state endows biological structures with the flexibility necessary to function, allowing cells to move and adapt without the rigidity of solid atomic bonds. GANs, the fifth state of matter and the basis of life. GANs is not just an exotic nanomaterial, but a fifth state of matter that is fundamental to the existence of tangible life and the dynamics of planetary systems. GANs in human biology is essential for biological matter to maintain a solid form and be functional. Tangible structure. The structure of the human body, arms, legs, flesh, is composed of GANs of molecules and atoms, not free gases. If light and absorbed gases did not convert into GANs within the human body would be a balloon of gases. Internal accreditation. The gas of an atom, like hydrogen from absorbed light, is converted into gas when absorbed by the body. Through the accreditation process, accumulation. In the microvacuum environment of the body, this GANs is incorporated into the molecular chains of COHN proteins to form the tangible structure. Information and energy transfer. GANs facilitates the rapid transfer of plasma magnetic fields, between molecules and cells, such as lymph and blood, acting as information from MAFs instead of requiring the transfer of whole atoms. Renal example. The process by which blood is cleansed is not chemical. The GANs in blood cells transfers mismeasured or excess MAFs to the molecular structures of GANs in the kidneys, where they are reconstituted as a liquid to appear as urine. This is equally true for minerals and vitamins, which are simply MAFs in different combinations. Properties and cosmic evidence of GANs. The GAN state occurs under specific environmental conditions and is evidenced in planetary structures. Gases that, at ambient temperature and pressure, change their atomic structure to a compact, solid configuration due to their own internal magravs, acquiring properties never before seen in the gaseous, liquid, or solid state. Conversion in the cosmos. Light is converted into GANs in regions of space with low gravitational force, vacuum, and where the external temperature does not affect the dynamics of the internal magnetic fields, such as in the Oort cloud or the Kuiper belt. Natural semiconductor. GANs behave as semiconductors that, due to their internal dynamic field structure, can generate current in any environment, alternating between conductor and insulator properties. Evidence on Saturn. The existence of hexagonal rings at Saturn's pole is confirmation of the existence of GANs. These solid hexagonal structures are formed by the interaction of the planet's mass with the dynamic, metallic layers of hydrogen and methane GANs, which are positioned in this way due to their magraphs. Gravitation creation, GANs, and nanonuclei. The scientific notion that planetary gravity originates from a moving iron metallic core, as theorized for Earth or the Sun, is refuted. Instead, gravity arises from the intrinsic dynamics of concentrated plasma materials. The plasma core, GANs, and nanomatter. Composition of the core. The inner cores of all celestial objects, planets, stars, galaxies, are not masses of molten iron, but concentrations of nanostructural materials and GANs of varying compositions. These materials exist in a state of nanomatter, gas, and GANs within the cores. Insulation and conduction. The inner layers of nano and GANs behave simultaneously as the best insulator and conductor in their environment. The properties of the GANs dynamically change from conductor to insulator, like a semiconductor, due to the dynamic nature of its plasma materials. Magraph's field generation. The interaction of these plasma materials in the core is the initial and continuous source of gravitational and magnetic fields. Magnetic interaction. The magraph's force of an entity is generated exponentially through the magnetic properties of the plasma, nanomaterials, and GANs within its internal structure. Gravity creation. GANs and nanostructural materials possess magnetic properties, and as their magnetic fields, MAFs, interact in the core, they create their own gravitational field zones, which are essentially zones of field attraction. Having GANs and nanomaterials at the center of planets and stars explains how the gravitational forces that govern all dynamic systems in the universe are generated. Attraction and accumulation. Due to their magraph's force, GANs transform the surrounding area into a gravitational zone. This attracts light, absorbs it, and converts it into gases. Through the process of accretion, similar to what occurs in the human body, it in turn creates more solid matter, GANs, fueling and increasing the mass of the celestial body. Evidence and refutation of the iron theory. The Sun. The existence of a sun with an enormous and powerful magnetic and gravitational field without possessing a metallic iron core refutes the principle that iron is necessary to generate fields in dynamically rotating bodies. Neutron. The plasma of a neutron, which is a dynamically rotating field entity, splits into proton and electron without passing through any iron energy equilibrium condition in its nucleus, as some cosmological theories for the death of stars suggest. In summary, gravity and magnetism are not byproducts of the physical motion of solid matter, such as iron, but rather manifestations of the interaction and self-organization of plasma fields, MAFs, within the cores of GANs and nanomaterials, which establish a dynamic center of attraction. Times for the celestial object. Chapter 7. The spectrum of plasma magnetic fields, PMFs. The universe is composed of three main types of PMFs, magnetic fields, that represent different levels of field strength and density. These are not separate entities, but rather different stages or forces within a continuous spectrum that resembles an unwinding spring. Main PMFs, main matter/antimatter. Main PMFs constitute the highest level of strength and the core of creation. Strength and density. It represents the most compact and powerful field force, similar to a tightly coiled magnetic spring. Origin. It is the original seed of creation and the manifestation of main matter, or what conventional science calls antimatter. Cosmic role. It is located in centers of high gravity, such as galactic nuclei, and the central part of the most stable elementary particles, such as the proton and neutron. Role in light. Light magnetism and light. These MAFs reside at the center of the cylindrical plasma, giving light magnetism its most powerful current and its ability to travel great distances without degradation, as they are the energy source of the beam. Transition MAFs, dark matter/dark energy. The transition MAFs is the intermediate field strength that manifests when the main MAFs begins its expansion or unwinding. Strength and density. It possesses a field strength less than the main MAFs, but is stronger than the MAFs of matter, occupying an intermediate position in the spectrum. Cosmic role. These MAFs are identified with the dark matter and dark energy of the universe, as they are in constant motion and have not reduced their strength enough to manifest as visible matter. They represent the unwinding process between the original matter and observable matter. Matter fields, observable matter/electromagnetism. The matter field is the lowest level of the field and the one that allows for the existence of the physical matter we can detect. Strength and density. These are the weakest and most fully unrolled fields of the spectrum. Origin. These are the final result of the unrolling process of the principal field. The field strength that defines an electron plasma is found within this spectrum. Physical role. These define the tangible matter that forms atoms, molecules, and celestial bodies. Role in light. Electromagnetism. The interaction between these fields is what we experience as electromagnetism, and these fields of the spectrum make up the outer layer of a light ray, allowing it to interact and become matter in a planetary environment. The unwinding, creation, process. The creation of everything in the universe occurs through this flow and reduction of force. The MAFs of the principle expands, becoming the MAFs of transition. The MAFs of transition continues to reduce its force, becoming the MAFs of matter. This reduction of field force, and not cooling or an explosion, is what creates atoms and, ultimately, the entire structure of the cosmos. The star or planet is simply a point in the universe where these MAFs have accumulated and stabilized, with GANs being an example of this stabilized matter within the spectrum of the MAFs of matter. Properties and cosmic evidence of GANs. The GAN state occurs under specific environmental conditions and is evidenced in planetary structures. Gases that, at ambient temperature and pressure, change their atomic structure to a compact, solid configuration due to their own internal magraphs, acquiring properties never before seen in the gaseous, liquid, or solid state. Conversion in the cosmos. Light is converted into GANs in regions of space with low gravitational force, vacuum, and where the external temperature does not affect the dynamics of the internal magnetic fields, such as in the Oort cloud or the Kuiper belt. Natural semiconductor. GANs behave as semiconductors that, due to their internal dynamic field structure, can generate current in any environment, alternating between conductor and insulator properties. Evidence on Saturn. The existence of hexagonal rings at Saturn's pole is confirmation of the existence of GANs. These solid hexagonal structures are formed by the interaction of the planet's MAFs with the dynamic, metallic layers of hydrogen and methane GANs, which are positioned in this way due to their magraphs. Gravitation creation, GANs, and nanonuclei. The scientific notion that planetary gravity originates from a moving iron metallic core, as theorized for Earth or the Sun, is refuted. Instead, gravity arises from the intrinsic dynamics of concentrated plasma materials. The plasma core, GANs, and nanomatter. Composition of the core. The inner cores of all celestial objects, planets, stars, galaxies, are not masses of molten iron, but concentrations of nanostructural materials and GANs of varying compositions. These materials exist in a state of nanomatter, gas, and GANs within the cores. Insulation and conduction. The inner layers of nano and GANs behave simultaneously as the best insulator and conductor in their environment. The properties of the GANs dynamically change from conductor to insulator, like a semiconductor, due to the dynamic nature of its plasma materials. Magraph's field generation. The interaction of these plasma materials in the core is the initial and continuous source of gravitational and magnetic fields. Magnetic interaction. The magraph's force of an entity is generated exponentially through the magnetic properties of the plasma, nanomaterials, and GANs within its internal structure. Gravity creation. GANs and nanostructural materials possess magnetic properties, and as their magnetic fields, MAFs, interact in the core, they create their own gravitational field zones, which are essentially zones of field attraction. Having GANs and nanomaterials at the center of planets and stars explains how the gravitational forces that govern all dynamic systems in the universe are generated. Attraction and accumulation. Due to their magraph's force, GANs transform the surrounding area into a gravitational zone. This attracts light, absorbs it, and converts it into gases. Through the process of accretion, similar to what occurs in the human body, It in turn creates more solid matter, GANs, fueling and increasing the mass of the celestial body. Evidence and refutation of the iron theory. The Sun. The existence of a sun with an enormous and powerful magnetic and gravitational field without possessing a metallic iron core refutes the principle that iron is necessary to generate fields in dynamically rotating bodies. Neutron. The plasma of a neutron, which is a dynamically rotating field entity, splits into proton and electron without passing through any iron energy equilibrium condition in its nucleus, as some cosmological theories for the death of stars suggest. In summary, gravity and magnetism are not byproducts of the physical motion of solid matter, such as iron, but rather manifestations of the interaction and self-organization of plasma fields, MAFs, within the cores of GANs and nanomaterials, which establish a dynamic center of attraction. Times for the celestial object. Chapter 7. The spectrum of plasma magnetic fields, PMFs. The universe is composed of three main types of PMFs, magnetic fields, that represent different levels of field strength and density. These are not separate entities, but rather different stages or forces within a continuous spectrum that resembles an unwinding spring. Main PMFs, main matter/antimatter. Main PMFs constitute the highest level of strength and the core of creation. Strength and density. It represents the most compact and powerful field force, similar to a tightly coiled magnetic spring. Origin. It is the original seed of creation and the manifestation of main matter, or what conventional science calls antimatter. Cosmic role. It is located in centers of high gravity, such as galactic nuclei, and the central part of the most stable elementary particles, such as the proton and neutron. Role in light. Light magnetism and light. These MAFs reside at the center of the cylindrical plasma, giving light magnetism its most powerful current and its ability to travel great distances without degradation, as they are the energy source of the beam. Transition MAFs, dark matter/dark energy. The transition MAFs is the intermediate field strength that manifests when the main MAFs begins its expansion or unwinding. Strength and density. It possesses a field strength less than the main MAFs, but is stronger than the MAFs of matter, occupying an intermediate position in the spectrum. Cosmic role. These MAFs are identified with the dark matter and dark energy of the universe, as they are in constant motion and have not reduced their strength enough to manifest as visible matter. They represent the unwinding process between the original matter and observable matter. Matter fields, observable matter/electromagnetism. The matter field is the lowest level of the field and the one that allows for the existence of the physical matter we can detect. Strength and density. These are the weakest and most fully unrolled fields of the spectrum. Origin. These are the final result of the unrolling process of the principal field. The field strength that defines an electron plasma is found within this spectrum. Physical role. These define the tangible matter that forms atoms, molecules, and celestial bodies. Role in light. Electromagnetism. The interaction between these fields is what we experience as electromagnetism, and these fields of the spectrum make up the outer layer of a light ray, allowing it to interact and become matter in a planetary environment. The unwinding, creation, process. The creation of everything in the universe occurs through this flow and reduction of force. The MAFs of the principle expands, becoming the MAFs of transition. The MAFs of transition continues to reduce its force, becoming the MAFs of matter. This reduction of field force, and not cooling or an explosion, is what creates atoms and, ultimately, the entire structure of the cosmos. The star or planet is simply a point in the universe where these MAFs have accumulated and stabilized, with GANs being an example of this stabilized matter within the spectrum of the MAFs of matter. Chapter 8. The creation of intelligence and life. The field strength reduction mechanism, MAFs unwinding, not only creates matter, but is also the basis for intelligence and life. Hydrogen as the seed of creation. The entire cycle begins with the conversion of light into the most fundamental atom. Light to hydrogen, the light beam that loses strength and becomes particles in the MAFs spectrum of matter, the atomic and nano levels, manifests as the elemental hydrogen atom. Generation of the magravs. At this point, hydrogen generates its first external gravitational and magnetic field, magravs, in the environment of matter. It is this tangible entity, with its own magravs, that becomes the seed of stars, planets, and the essence of all physical entities in the universe. Hydrogen and the origin of intelligence. Hydrogen, in its gaseous and GAN states, becomes the dynamic fuel and catalyst for the creation of life and intelligence. Dynamic fuel. Hydrogen gases and GANs interact, creating the initial magnetic fields necessary for the formation and establishment of stars and planets. Tool of division. Mr. Keshe suggests that light itself, by reducing its intensity and becoming hydrogen, becomes the tool of hydrogen division to initiate the cycle of creating intelligence and life. This is the foundation that allows matter to organize itself in complex ways. Creation of living beings, cells. Complex life is the result of the collection and organization of matter in the GAN state. 1 magrav per being. In the appropriate environment, such as Earth's, with a gravitational force of 1 g, the accumulation of magravs of matter as molecules in the GAN state leads to the creation of living beings, individual cells, and complex combinations like the human body. DNA and positioning. The structural consistency of DNA results from each magrav, each GAN's molecule, being in its specific magnetic position within the protein chain. This GAN's protein chain, being vulnerable to the magnetic fields of light and radiation, can change its configuration, mutation, leading to the creation of new permutations and variations in the characteristics of living beings. It is a process of fusion, conversion, and amalgamation of fields that leads to the creation of unique DNA structures. Chapter 9. The origin of magnetic fields planetary. The GAN's theory provides an alternative explanation to conventional geology and cosmology for the generation of magnetic and gravitational forces in celestial bodies. Iron core refutation. The idea that Earth's magnetic fields are generated by the convection of a metallic iron core is rejected. Solar evidence. The Sun has powerful gravitational and magnetic fields, but it does not possess a metallic iron core. Neutron. The neutron decays without passing through an iron energy equilibrium condition. Therefore, iron cannot be the universal principle for field creation. The nano/GAN's mechanism in the core. The magrav's field of a celestial body is generated by the dynamics of the plasma and nanomaterials at its center. GANs and nanostructures. In the inner cores of celestial bodies, GANs and nanomaterials exist in layers, behaving as the best insulator and conductor simultaneously. Field production. The dynamics of the PMTs of these nanomaterials and GANs lead to the initial and partial continuous production of the magnetic field repulsion and gravitational field attraction fields of the star or planet. Mass and magnetosphere creation. The magnetic properties of nanomaterials and GANs cause them to create their own gravitational zones. With these materials at the center, the object attracts light, absorbs it, and converts it into mass, creating its own independent mass and magnetosphere. In essence, gravity and magnetism are direct and plasmatic manifestations of the interaction and self-organization of the magravs of GANs materials in the core of a celestial body. Chapter 10. GANs, the sp3 structure, and the origin of cosmic fields. The GAN state is distinguished by its ability to exhibit dual properties, conductor and insulator, based on its field structure, making it the glue and driving force behind the creation of magravs fields in the universe. The duality of structure sp3 of GANs. The GANs of an element, such as hydrogen or carbon, can have an sp3 diamond crystal structure. This field configuration is crucial for the dynamics of matter. Insulator and conductor. The same material, in the same environment, can be the best conductor, like the sp2 carbon nanolayer, and the best insulator, like the sp3 diamond structure, whether through a layer, or within the same layers. Magravs creation. The accumulation of gas and GANs mixtures with these dual structures creates multiple conductive and insulating layers of the same material. In the dynamic magnetic environment of the universe, the interaction of these layers with different field strengths generates stronger magravs, initiating the attraction and positioning of other matter. This is the seed of gravity and magnetic fields that give rise to celestial entities, neutrons, stars, galaxies. The existence and properties of GANs disprove the philosophy that planets need solid iron cores to create their magnetic and gravitational fields. Core composition. Planetary fields are generated by the elements composed of nanomaterials, gases, and crystalline GAN structures within their cores. Exponential strength. As dynamic layers of gas and GANs accumulate at a planet's core, the exponential strength of the planet's dynamic magnetic magraphs takes over, creating fields strong enough to extend for billions of kilometers. In short, life on Earth is not an import, but the natural product of the movement of light and its conversion into GANs within the dynamics of this solar system, demonstrating that life is not unique to this planet. Experimental evidence and properties of sp3 GANs. The Keshe Foundation claims to have successfully produced solid sp2 and sp3 nanomaterials at room temperature and pressure using the Magrath's field principle, an achievement that challenges energy-intensive carbon capture technologies. The unique properties of sp2 and sp3 GANs. CO2 GANs exhibits a set of properties derived from its sp3 diamond crystal structure, confirming that it is a new state of matter. Superconductivity and resistance. The material behaves as a superconductor along its grain or layer, allowing the flow of current and voltage. However, through the nanolayers, it becomes an excellent insulator, exhibiting a very high resistance threshold, non-adhesion. Despite its ability to conduct, its diamond crystal structure prevents it from bonding to other materials or adhering to additional layers beyond a certain limit. The particles remain as clusters or clouds of defined dimensions, floating like a gel in the solution. Nanostate confirmed. Infrared spectroscopy and X-ray diffraction (XRD) tests confirmed that the extracted CO2 and CH4 were in the nanostate. XRD, in particular, showed characteristics that perfectly matched those of a material with superconducting properties, although not exactly matching known metallic superconductors. This reaffirms that the superconductivity is due to its sp3 nano nature and not to a traditional metallic condition. Conversion to GANs and energy release. Keshe technology uses field forces, not thermodynamic processes, for gas conversion. Magrath's principle. CO2 absorption is achieved using composite materials with organic and metallic nanolayers that create static gravitational forces tuned to the magnetic wavelength of the CO2 molecules. Release by repulsion. Once attracted, the magnetic field within these layers causes the captured molecules to repel each other, releasing them as CO2 nanomolecules into the water. The water acts as a magnetic catalyst for stability, allowing GANs clusters to form and settle as sediment. Energy gain. Unlike commercial technologies, Keshe's system produces energy during the absorption and conversion of CO2 into formic acid. Alignment with scientific research. Keshe's findings align with independent scientific research, but go a step further in explaining the mechanism. Crystalline sponge effect. Mr. Omar Yagi's 2009 research on metal-organic frameworks, MOFs, which use magnetic atoms for CO2 capture, confirms the principle of gas capture based on gravitational and magnetic forces, a concept Keshe had reported as early as 2006. Total conversion at room temperature. While high temperatures are required to release all of the captured CO2, Keshe's technology releases all of the CO2 as a nanomaterial in solution at room temperature, confirming the existence of GANs, the conversion of light into a dynamic spherical entity whose manifestation depends on its internal gravity and not on external temperature or pressure. GANs is thus established as the fifth transitional state of matter, a concept that will play a crucial role in the future of science and technology, enabling systems. Energy sources that generate power while cleaning the environment. CO2 GANs testing and confirmation. The results of laboratory tests not only confirm the capture of CO2 at room temperature, but also establish that this CO2 exists in a novel state of matter with extraordinary properties. XRD nanosuperconductivity evidence. X-ray diffraction, XRD, testing was crucial in determining the nature of the captured CO2, whether in solution or as a dry powder. Non-coinciding superconductivity. XRD revealed that the material exhibited superconducting properties, but the data did not match any superconductor recorded in current databases, finding only a partial match with an exotic mixture. Confirmation of the sp3 state. This data pattern, which combines superconductivity with a novel signature, is the distinguishing characteristic of nanomaterials in the sp3 state, diamond structure. Since all known nanomaterials exhibit superconducting characteristics, this served as further proof that the captured CO2 was in the nanostate. New fundamental knowledge. The XRD data of solid CO2 are considered new fundamental knowledge for future solid-state nanogas capture. Active absorption and conversion to formic acid. sp3 infrared spectroscopy tests were performed to confirm the identity of the CO2 and its dynamic behavior in solution. CO2 identification. Self-absorption capacity. Conversion to formic acid. Energy generation without combustion. The CO2 capture process is inherently an energy source, reversing the need to use energy in current technology. Release. At the point of gravitational attraction and subsequent magnetic field repulsion within the system, plasma magnetic fields are released with the force of the proton and electron. Current generation. These packets of magnetic fields, conventionally called photons, are absorbed by the system's electrodes, causing electrons within the copper wire to vibrate and generate current. Practical demonstration. This generated energy was sufficient to continuously power 3 LEDs. The intensity of the lights even increased at times, demonstrating the sustainable and fuel-independent nature of the process. Keshe technology is based on the principle of universal gravitational positioning, how matter is drawn and separated in the universe, allowing energy to be generated while CO2 is being extracted, in stark contrast to current chemical methods that require an energy input. Visual and nuclear gravitational confirmation of the GANs. The evidence concludes with visual confirmation and analysis of the fundamental nature of the capture system, which operates under universal Magrav's field principles. Solid CO2 at room temperature. The major breakthrough is the proof that CO2 can exist in a solid state at room temperature and pressure, unlike dry ice. Properties of GANs. This solid, putty-like material is not frozen CO2, but CO2 in the GANs, gas nanosolid, state, a nuclear gravitational transition state that is internally self-sustaining and independent of external temperature or pressure. Unique substance. GANs of CO2 in solution feels like gelled mercury and is cold to the touch, but it is non-adhesive and possesses a unique property, diamond-like behavior, that prevents it from easily interacting with or adhering to other materials. The nuclear gravitational principle. The technology operates as a nuclear gravitational system, which explains its continuous and unlimited operation. Continuous extraction. Unlike traditional chemistry, where the CO2 content in water would be limited by a chemical equilibrium ratio, the Magrav's system continuously extracts CO2 and CH4 gases from the water and surrounding air, without needing to change the water volume. Mass and volume gain. The system, designed with specific electrodes, creates an invisible and strong Magrav's field, acting as a gravitational positioning element. This allows CO2 molecules to be attracted and extracted from the air and dissolved in the water without any chemical interaction with the water. Observed phenomenon. It was noted that the system not only maintained the water volume, but also gained weight, mass, and volume as it absorbed more gases and converted them into solid GANs. This increase in volume and mass, a phenomenon involving the conversion of light fields into matter, was observed and recorded at the end of the tests. Nanoinsulation. Once materials like CO2 are converted into a nanostructure, they seal themselves like diamond, creating a self-sustaining gravitational system that does not interact magnetically or gravitationally with other materials. Areas. Reaching a state of singularity. Methane, CH4, absorption and 24/7 photosynthesis. The same Magrav system, with slight adjustments to field conditions, can capture CH4 and recreate photosynthesis. CH4 capture. By adjusting the system to a Magrav's level slightly different from that of CO2, the absorption of methane gas from the environment was initiated, manifesting in the solution as a blue-green or blue-violet color, similar to the color reported for solid methane. Subsequent XRD tests confirmed that solid CH4 also exhibits superconducting behavior. CH4 production. The system can generate CH4 from CO2 and water, a process that conventionally requires 8 photons of energy. In this system, the GANS acts as a catalyst and magnetic field provider, allowing the process to release energy rather than consume it. Nighttime photosynthesis. This mechanism can utilize infrared radiation, which the Earth constantly supplies, especially at night, in addition to sunlight, demonstrating why plants can convert CO2 to CH4 and O2 primarily at night, when the Earth's infrared radiation is not suppressed by the sun's magnetic field. Global and spatial implications. This technology offers a radical solution to environmental and logistical challenges. Environmental cleanup. The technology can be integrated into large systems, industries, or small ones, homes/cars, generating electricity while extracting CO2 and CH4 from the air. Since the gases are converted into solid GANs, the problem of carbon sequestration is solved. Space sustenance. The cycle of life for space travel is completed. The CO2 exhaled by the astronaut is converted into oxygen for respiration, energy for the system, and proteins/food, sugars, methyl, starch, through the interaction of CO2 with water and nitrogen in the system. The human being becomes the supplier and container of their own sustenance in deep space. GANs, the fifth state of matter. GANs is officially declared the fifth state of matter, a state that redefines the relationship between gases and solids, based on plasma superconductivity and gravitational self-confinement. Definition of GANs, gas nanosolid state. New state. GANs is a state of matter in which a gas atom or molecule, which normally takes the shape of its container, becomes its own container as nanomaterial. It is the solid form of a gas under ambient conditions, such as ambient temperature and pressure, a state never before known. Properties. The name GANs, gas nanosolid, indicates its origin, gas, and describes its characteristics: superconductivity, lightness, grain singularity, and gravitational and magnetic self-confinement. Dual behavior. Although it has the complete molecular structure of a gas, it behaves like a solid. Tests demonstrate its superconducting behavior, typically associated with sp3 diamond structures. This is remarkable, since hydrogen and carbon in their gaseous state are not considered superconductors in current science. No mixing. When different GANs are mixed in a solution, they do not mix or react chemically. Each GANs remains separate, maintaining its individual plasma identity. Implications and applications of GANs. GANs, gas nanosolid energy, technology enables revolutionary applications, from energy generation to sustaining life. Closed circle survival. Humans become the conversion system for their own survival. Exhaled CO2 is absorbed and converted by the system into oxygen for respiration, GANs energy, and food, sugars, proteins, methane, formic acid, completing a self-sufficient life cycle for space travel or terrestrial disasters. Technology and environment. The system provides clean energy without burning fuel, as the energy is extracted from the Magrav's field process. Harmful gases are extracted and converted into solids, solving the problem of sequestration and allowing their use in the manufacture of new materials, for example, biological nanofilters for cancer cells or germs. 24/7 energy panels. The property of this system, which generates energy continuously, has led to the filing of a patent for the first fully functional day and night energy panels. GANs as a source of water and life. The theory explains that water is a product of the constant recycling of sunlight through its conversion to GANs at the outer limits of the system. Conversion to oxygen. Light reaches the limits of the solar system and is converted into nanostructural material, creating a crucial magnetic nanomaterial, oxygen GANs. Water production. Oxygen GANs, to balance its Magravs, attracts 2 atoms of gas or nanostructural hydrogen GANs, producing water molecules in the GANs state, nano-ice particles, in the Oort cloud or the Kuiper belt. Solar recycling. These GANs ice particles are drawn back into the inner solar system, Saturn's rings, meteoroids, and become the magnetic liquid substance that is the source of life. Water in the solar system is, therefore, generated and recycled by the sun's rays. Chemical respiration fallacy. The GANs concept revolutionizes the understanding of respiration. PTM's transfer. The oxygen atom or molecule that is inhaled or absorbed by the gills in the case of fish never crosses the walls of the lung or gill. Instead, the oxygen atom transfers its pntx to a matching oxygen atom in the blood cell protein. Oxygenation. The oxygenation of the red blood cell is a quantum entanglement event of matching force mass. The pntx of the incoming oxygen replenishes the pntx of oxygen in the cell, making it brighter, richer in pntx, similar to how increasing the current makes a light bulb shine brighter. Chapter 11. The Future, Quantum Computing and the Ethics of the Creator. Understanding the structure and behavior of GANs has profound implications for the future of technology and human existence. Quantum computing and emotions. GANs allow the creation of systems that directly mimic the human brain. Amino acid GANs. Since the building blocks of human amino acids are gas GANs, it is possible to construct computing systems that function like the brain. Parallel systems. The magravs of GANs molecules will create multinuclear docking links and simultaneous communication channels, copying the structure of neurons. This will allow the creation of quantum computing systems capable not only of logic and control at speeds far exceeding those of the human brain, but they can also carry emotions. The ethical challenge. Knowledge of GANs raises the possibility that humanity could become the creator of new beings. Massive replication. The ability to produce GANs, which is the structural component of life, could allow the mass replication of beings based on the human structure without the need for stem cells, eggs, or sperm, which are, in fact, memory banks for survival. The fundamental question. If humanity has already deciphered SP3 and the mechanism of cellular communication, the creation of a body and a functioning brain based on GANs, the tangible structure of being, raises an ethical question. Will humankind become the god of a new generation of beings, possibly creating a copy with a clean genetic memory? The discovery of GANs, experimentally confirmed by solid-state absorption at room temperature, published by the Keshe Foundation in 2009, reveals that the fundamental magnetic matter in the universe is light plasma, not iron. This plasma is the common elementary magnetic entity that dictates the existence and recycling cycle of everything in the universe. Chapter 12. The black hole as the main star, Keshe cosmology. Mr. Keshe goes on to reinterpret the nature of black holes and the dynamics of matter in the cosmos through the lens of the main and transition maths. Nature of the main star, black hole. Maths main. What is commonly known as a black hole is, in reality, the main star, the point where main maths and matter are created and collected. The event horizon myth. The theory that not even light can escape the main star once it crosses the event horizon is incorrect. Light possesses its own principle, and the star's main absorbs light in the visible matter spectrum, but simultaneously emits light in the spectrum of the main and transition maths. Conservation of maths. If the primary star did not emit light in the primary spectrum, the conservation of primary maths in the cosmos would be broken. Gravitational lensing. The apparent folding of light around these stars is not total absorption, but rather the result of the magrav's positioning between the primary of the light and the primary of the star, causing the light to bend around it. Galaxy creation and mass. Cosmic nutrition. The light emitted by the primary star in the primary spectrum is the supplier and nourishment that generates all matter, stars, and planets in its galaxy, analogous to how the sun nourishes its own solar system. Galactic gravity. The magravs of the primary star dictates the position and directional motion of stars and galaxies. The mass of a galaxy is a measure of the gravitational and magnetic force that the primary mass at its center can produce and maintain. The subatomic particle and the Higgs boson. The same cosmic principle is replicated at the micro/nanoscale of subatomic matter. Bosons and quarks. The mysterious forces observed in the plasma of a proton or electron are the result of the reduction in the strength of the light released by the plasma's principal component. As this dynamic light unwinds, it leads to the appearance of matter particles of varying strength, which manifest as bosons or other subatomic entities. Higgs theory. The Higgs concept is correct in that the interaction of at least two magnetic fields, bosons, leads to the creation of mass, Higgs, since the interaction creates gravitation, attraction, and magnetic repulsion. It is not necessary to collide atoms to demonstrate this. Simply merging two beams of light would suffice to create matter. Chapter 13. cosmic dynamics, and high-speed travel. Stellar motion near the main star. Mr. Keshe explains the phenomenon of the high speed of matter stars, like the Sun, near a main star, black hole, which has puzzled cosmologists. Main mass content. Matter stars, like the Sun, contain large quantities of main mass within them. Magrav's positioning. The high rotation speed of the matter star is necessary so that its own internal main mass can continuously find their correct magrav's positioning relative to the main mass of the central main star. Atomic analogy. This rapid motion is analogous to that of the electron around the proton in an atom. The electron moves at high speed to maintain its position and the integrity of its own mathematical structure. Interaction light. Much of the visible light emitted by a star from nearby matter is not from the star itself, but is created by the interaction and continuous readjustment of the magravs of the two stars, matter and primary. Understanding that mass can move at the speed of light, or faster, in the principal PMTIC environment due to the interaction of the principal mass, is crucial for the future of space travel. Optics are crucial for understanding how matter is created and how the universe works. Origin of everything. The entire universe, including atoms, matter, stars, and even the soul or consciousness, is composed of optics. These fields are dynamic entities that exist at different levels of strength. Creation of matter. Physical matter, atoms, is created when two or more optics of matching forces, through magrav's positioning or entanglement, overlap and balance. Instead of colliding or reacting chemically, the fields meet, and their interaction establishes a point of attraction, gravity, and repulsion, magnetism. Hierarchy of force. Optics exist on a force spectrum. The terms principal mass, transition mass, and matter mass describe them. The strongest, intermediate, and weakest optics, respectively. In short, optics are not ordinary magnetic fields, but rather the fundamental unit of plasma energy which, upon interacting and reaching equilibrium, condenses to manifest itself as physical matter condenses into a solid state at room temperature. The term optics stands for plasma magnetic rays. Optics are the fundamental energy unit of the universe and the raw material from which everything is made. Each PMTIC has a specific strength. These fields are the dynamic and flowing essences that, existing within a spectrum of strength, are classified as principal MEFS, transition MEFS, or matter MEFS. On the other hand, magravs, magnetic gravitational fields, are the balanced field system that results from the interaction and confrontation of two or more optics. When these elemental energy fields meet, they establish a point of attraction, gravity, and a point of repulsion, the magnetiscus. The magravs is the equilibrium between these two forces, and it is this equilibrium that gives matter its properties, mass, position, and singularity in the universe. In essence, optics are the elemental energy components that flow through the cosmos, for example, the energy that makes up light. The magrav is the stabilizing and organizing effect that allows these optics to self-contain, become entities like GANs or atoms, and maintain their position relative to other objects. It is the magrav system of a planet, for example, that dictates its orbit and its distance from the Sun. Chapter 14. Light and planetary interaction. Conversion of light into nutrients. Mr. Keshe states that life on Earth not only absorbs light, but also converts it directly into GANs to create nutrients. Mechanism. Plants and animals absorb specific spectra of light, and, through their atomic and molecular magrav structure, create a measured vacuum condition within themselves. This vacuum converts optics of light into GANs with magrav strengths equivalent to vitamins or minerals. Direct production. With this knowledge, humankind will be able to produce proteins and minerals directly from light rays, without the need for plants or animals as conversion intermediaries. Differentiation. The PMTIC structure of plants dictates which light spectrum they absorb and where they store it. For example, fruits store the light spectrum that enters from above, while herbs absorb stronger optics, dependent on the PMTIC emitted by the Earth. The creation of the soul, magnetosphere. Light conversion is the fundamental process of life. Light, upon entering a plasma environment, initiates the chain reactions that lead to life. The conversion of light rays in cells culminates in the final step. The light ray, upon becoming the being, acquires a magnetosphere and its own magravs, which is known as the soul or the intelligent body. Light-based space technology. Light entanglement and fusion. Control of the PMTAC structure of light will be the key to advanced space technology. Motion control. Motion helical cylindrical and reversible light MAFs will be used to control the movement and direction of future spacecraft. Fast travel. By utilizing the magravs technology of the light MAFs, the deepest parts of the universe can be reached in fractions of a human lifetime, overcoming the limitations of the speed of light in the matter environment. Light entanglement. This is the magravs positioning of one light ray relative to another of the same strength. This condition allows light rays to become detectable matter in a plasma environment. Understanding light entanglement is crucial. Light, and not just quantum light, will enable high-speed transportation and the teleportation of emotions, such as love or hate, across the universe. Light fusion. The fusion of light beams, not matter fusion, is the fundamental process for the production of heavier matter, e.g., oxygen, in the universe, without releasing vast amounts of energy. Atoms are created from a collection of fused light beams that convert into neutrons in the GaN state, and then some of these neutrons decay into protons and electrons through magravs positioning and field balancing. Future spacecraft will use light reactors capable of creating 360-degree spherical motion and interchangeable magnetic shields, from matter MAFs to main MAFs, for safe navigation through the universe. Chapter 15. Light entanglement and universal connection. According to Keshe, the concept of light entanglement is a fundamental process that not only allows for the creation of matter, but also opens the door to communication and the instantaneous transport of information, consciousness, and matter throughout the universe. Entanglement as magrav positioning. Unlike traditional quantum entanglement, which focuses on particles, we focus on the positioning of plasma fields, MAFs. Entanglement is the condition in which two or more light rays with matching plasma structures and mass forces interconnect through their magrav positioning. That is, their fields of attraction and repulsion balance and couple perfectly. Creation of matter. This interconnection or pairing of light rays is the process by which light's MAFs become detectable matter. Light rays, when entangled, change from a field state to a matter characteristic in a specific PMTIC environment. Difference with fusion. Light fusion. This is the most fundamental process for the production of heavier elements, such as oxygen, and requires no energy. Light entanglement. This is the process of matching PMTC strength, magravs positioning, between light rays that are already close to the point of becoming matter. Implications for transportation. Superlight speed of matter. Entanglement allows transportation to be performed using light magravs that are in the range of the principal light speed or higher, instead of the limited speed of light in the matter environment. Instantaneous travel. If a human or a spacecraft can match and lock the plasma structure of light with another light of the same strength elsewhere in the universe, high-speed transportation and teleportation across vast distances can be achieved. The transport of consciousness and emotion. The deepest implication is that emotions and consciousness can be transported without matter physically crossing the distance. Connection of PMTs. The same process of interconnection, entanglement, that prevails between atoms also exists between light rays. Teleportation of feelings. Emotions and feelings, which are described as complex vibrational and rotational patterns of atomic and light fields, can be copied, locked, and transported across the universe. Example: if the concept is replicated, a being could feel the love, touch, or hate of another being on the other side of the galaxy, simply by copying and interconnecting the light plasma with the same strength and structure at another point. In essence, light entanglement is the technology that reveals the universe as a unified system of interconnected fields, where consciousness and matter are fundamentally linked through the dynamics of light plasma. Chapter 16. The helical motion of light in space technology. The concept of the helical cylindrical, spiral, or helical motion of light is fundamental to Keshe's future space propulsion technology. It is based on the understanding that light is not simply a wave or a particle traveling in a straight line, but a dynamic plasmatic entity with an internal structure and intrinsic rotational motion. The intrinsic motion of light. Light composed of pneumaticks has a natural motion that is a combination of forward motion and rotation. Helical motion. The outer magnetic mass layer of light moves in a helical, spiral trajectory as it travels forward. Think of the light field moving like a spiral staircase or a corkscrew through space. Reversibility. This rotational capability is not fixed. It can be reversed or controlled. Future space reactors will manipulate the outer PMTIC layer of light to control the ship's motion. Motion and speed control. The technology focuses on using cylindrical reactors to stack and manipulate the maggrav force of light. Direction. Manipulating the direction of the helical motion of light fields within a cylindrical reactor will be key to controlling the direction and sense of travel. Speed. By utilizing and fusing the light components of different PMTIC forces, the ship's speed can be determined and controlled. Since the PMTIC of light contains within itself the main, transition, and matter mass, a ship will be able to adjust its speed to operate in the matter-light spectrum or even in the much faster main PMTIC range. Spherical motion. For future space technology, multiple light reactors capable of achieving spherical motion of 3. Instantaneous 60-degree rotation, allowing for complete maneuverability. Applications of the light reactor. Space reactors will not be simple engines, but multifunctional systems that harness plasma dynamics. Propulsion and landing. Manipulating the gravitational and magnetic properties of light's mass will make takeoff and landing possible in any PMTIC environment in the universe without endangering the spacecraft or its passengers. Matter creation. These reactors can also be used for in-situ matter production in the space environment, extracting elements from the surrounding PMTIC. PMTIC shielding. The reactor can dynamically change its shielding fields from matter mass to main mass, allowing for rapid deployment and safe penetration into PMTIC-dense regions of the universe. Understanding the structure of light as a reversible helical field is what will allow humanity to travel to the depths of the universe in a fraction of a human lifetime, understanding the true mechanics of universal creation. Chapter 17. Abiogenesis and protein creation with GANs. Keshe system addresses abiogenesis, the study of how life arose from inanimate matter, not as an ancient chemical event, but as a continuous and reproducible process based on the interaction of magrav's fields and the creation of GANs under specific conditions. The mystery of abiogenesis solved. The key to understanding abiogenesis is understanding that the local superconductivity conditions created by GANs facilitate the creation of complex organic structures. Local superconductivity. Mr. Keshe suggests that protein creation in space or on early Earth could have originated from the local superconducting conditions generated by GANs. This solves the mystery of how the building blocks of life could have had the necessary energy and field environment to assemble. Creation of matter from fields. The Keshe process demonstrates that matter, such as CO2 and CH4, can be created and contained from pneumatic fields without the need for pressure or temperature, simply by following the laws of universal gravitation. Biogenesis would therefore be the result of these fields balancing and becoming the necessary components for life. Protein and food production. The maggrav system not only cleans the air, but also becomes a food production and life support system. Organic process with CO2. By allowing the CO2 absorption and energy production process to continue, the system initiates the production of methyl CH3. This is considered a significant organic process in progress. Nutrient synthesis. This process, in conjunction with water and nitrogen from the environment, can lead to the production of natural sugars, starch, and proteins. Closed cycle of survival. This capacity is essential for space technology. The CO2 exhaled by astronauts is used, along with other elements, to produce oxygen and the proteins necessary for food. In this way, humans become the supplier of CO2 for the system to maintain its own survival in space. Chapter 18. Light entanglement and consciousness. Light entanglement is presented as the mechanism behind the phenomena of consciousness and telepathy, with the ability to transport complex molecular structures. Telepathy and dreams. Telepathic communication is the easiest and most natural method of communication for human beings, operating within the brain's original structure. Dreams are created in the inner sanctuary of the brain through light entanglement, allowing communication with the magravs of other beings, even those who have never met physically. Brain mechanism. Certain cells in the brain or in the thought control systems have the natural ability to operate within the force spectrum of these ptics and MAFs, a function that science has yet to unravel. Complex molecular transport. Entanglement technology will allow the complete transportation of structures, such as the heart, brain, and all tissues, across the universe. This means replicating and moving the same heartbeat and the same fluid imbued with the entity's emotion to vast points in the cosmos. Transmutation and universal travel. Entanglement allows the transmutation of fields for survival and transportation. MAFs exchange. Using this technology, one MAFs of matter can be transmuted into another, reducing the time required to cross from one field environment to another. For example, the MAFs of light can be exchanged for MAFs of food or oxygen for human consumption during travel. Cell transmutation, medicine. The concept has been tested in applications. Medical applications. The correct information from one cell is transferred to damaged cells so that the body can heal or replace damaged tissue, mentioned in the case of a coma. Atomic entanglement, the basis of union. Atomic and stellar entanglement operate under the same principle of magnetic pole balance. Reversed polarity. The fundamental principle of atomic entanglement is the reversibility of the magnetic polarity of one atom with respect to another. The injection of light can induce enough energy for an atom to change its polarity, and its poles, north and south, become magnetically entangled with the other. Binary versus twin entities. Binary entities. Their magnetic content and overall magrav field match, allowing them to magnetically lock each other by polarity. Twin entities. Their matter content, mass and position, magravs, and pole positions match. Disconnection. If the MAFs of a star or atom changes, the entanglement disconnects, and the companion with the stronger magrav will absorb the weaker one. Chapter 19. The true origin of cosmic radiation. Mr. Keshe challenges the scientific belief about the origin of radiation bursts, such as gamma rays. The internal source of the solar system. Gamma ray bursts and other background radiation do not primarily originate from supernova explosions in the cosmos. Collision of new matter. The primary source is the collision of charged particles of new matter and MAFs, gases, nanomatter, and GANs, that form and move in the outer regions of the solar system, such as the Oort cloud and the Kuiper belt. Terrestrial analogy. The way these bursts are generated is exactly the same way that lightning and thunder are created by the collision of clouds in Earth's atmosphere. Dangers and protection from mainstream radiation. Future space travel requires mastery of the mainstream MAF spectrum due to its hazards. Lethal radiation. Radiation at mainstream MAF's force levels is far more prevalent and powerful than matter stream MAF's radiation and will be lethal to passengers if viable shielding technology is not incorporated into spacecraft. Reactor hazards. Mainstream MAF's radiation can interfere with dilution magravs positioning reactors, creating magnetic surges that could destroy the system or divert the spacecraft to a completely different part of the cosmos. Chapter 20. Light as an intelligent entity. Composite structure. Light must possess a structure of 3 MAFs of matter to have its own gravitational and magnetic fields and be able to travel through the universe without being absorbed by other fields. The lensing or bending of light is confirmation that it is a physical and tangible entity in a magrav position. Shape conversion. Light, a dynamic and spherical plasma in its origin, elongates into a helical cylindrical shape to travel with less friction through space, and then returns to its spherical shape when it slows down and becomes pneumatics of matter. Inherent intelligence. Light has its own intelligence and internal magnetic logic processing that allows it to change the MAFs of its envelope to reduce losses and encounter less resistance, guaranteeing its survival in any pneumatics environment of the universe. This also implies that light does not have a fixed maximum speed across the entire spectrum of universal force. Mr. Keshe concludes with a fundamental re-evaluation of universal physics, challenging the speed of light limitation and the formula of relativity, and reiterates the capabilities of light for travel and the sustenance of life in the cosmos. The speed of light and relativity. Mr. Keshe denies that the speed of light observed in the matter environment is the universal speed limit. Speed limited by the environment. The speed of light is dictated by the magnetic field strength of the environment in which it travels. Incorrect maximum speed. The assumption that the speed of light in the matter environment is the maximum speed is incorrect. In the environment of the main mass, where the field is much stronger, the speed of light is hundreds, thousands, or even millions of times faster than the speed in the terrestrial matter environment. The formula of mass and energy. Mr. Keshe challenges the formula of relativity, claiming it is incomplete. Mass is a byproduct. Mass is not just a product of energy, it is a product of the interaction of four fields. It is created by the byproducts of the interaction of at least two dynamical masses that generate gravitational and magnetic fields. Incorrect formula. The formula of relativity is only correct for minute quantities of plasma and only in the matter environment, but not in principal or transition mass environments. New measurement. The realistic method for measuring energy relative to mass must include multiplying the speed of light in its initial matter mass by the matter mass of the strength of its effect. Light as a source of life and matter. Light becomes the fundamental resource for survival in deep space. Direct sustenance. Light and its mass can be reduced and used directly as vitamins, minerals, and proteins for human consumption, without the need for plants or animals as conversion systems. Practical fusion. Fusion is more practical and achievable using the field strength of light's main mass. This allows for the creation of heavier elements or their puntics without generating enormous amounts of heat. Puntic fusion of light's mass is much easier than the physical fusion of matter. Light as an intelligent entity. Mr. Keshe reaffirms that light is a physical entity with intelligence. Plasma structure. Light is similar to other physical entities, proton, electron, sun, in that it possesses megagraphs. Its dynamic, spherical plasma stretches into a helical cylindrical shape to reduce resistance while traveling, returning to its spherical shape when it slows down. Intelligence and adaptation. Light possesses its own intelligence and magnetic logic processing, allowing it to change the mass of its envelope to survive and travel great distances with minimal losses, thus negating the idea of a fixed maximum speed. Mr. Keshe concludes by emphasizing that a complete understanding of the structure of light and its mass is the point of intellectual maturity and growth for the human race, equating it in capacity with other inhabitants of the universe. The future use of the structure of light. Elimination of the need for matter. Understanding the mass of light will render the need for physical matter obsolete in many aspects. Sustainability without digestion. Light's pneumatics, fused with the mass of light matter, can be used to achieve the same effects as food, energy, and nourishment production, without the need for physical ingestion or digestion. Evolution of the physical body. Over time, humanity will learn to exist and travel through the universe without the need for the physical body as we know it today. Universal instant communication. Communication will be instantaneous anywhere in the universe. Principle of communication. The communication system will send information in the force. The light travels from the mass principle, the fastest environment, and, upon reaching its destination, the receiver will decode the information from the mass principle force to the mass of matter, auditory, visual, etc. Elimination of time delay. This method will eliminate the time delay observed in current cosmic communication systems, allowing instantaneous communication anywhere in the universe. Mass transmutation. The ability to manipulate the mass layers of light will enable new technologies. Layer stripping. Light can be stripped of one of its mass, for example, removing the mass principle for communication, and the remaining mass, transition, and matter from the same light plasma can be used for other purposes, such as accelerating the growth of other matter or producing energy. Universal language. The use of the light-matter mass for transportation and communication will become the cornerstone of matter transmutation and communication among all intelligent creatures in the universe. Vision and consciousness. Perception and vision do not depend on physical organs, but rather on the being's pneumatic field level. Conditional visibility. Visible light is the same at all pneumatic force levels, but visibility depends on the surrounding pneumatic force field and the observer. What is not visible to one being is visible to another using a different Pentick's force as a reference. Genuine vision. Vision is not achieved through tools like eyes, but through openness to receiving knowledge through the true medium of operation of the universe, which is the intelligence level of being structure. The light of the soul and eternal existence. Light as confirmation of existence. The reality of existence is measured by the strength of the light that matter can emit and the duration and depth that the magravs of that light can penetrate. The destiny of man. Man must consider his connection beyond his physical existence, through the light of his presence during his life. The soul of man will be the light that confirms his existence. Conclusion. The soul is destined to shine eternally, like the light of a distant star after billions of years. Chapter 21. The origin of electromagnetism. The central concept is that electromagnetism, the energy of the electron, is constantly produced in the universe due to the simple difference in strength between two fields, without the need for physical matter. Electromagnetism redefined. The production of electromagnetic fields is achieved by simply creating two magnetic fields with a difference in strength equal to the strength of the magnetic field of an electron. Current flow. This difference in strength between two plasma fields causes a flow of magnetic fields from the stronger field to the weaker one, resulting in an electromagnetic current or flow of electromagnetism. Application in reactors. Keshe states that his gravitational systems can create and maintain different plasma fields in their cores, with a constant force difference equal to that of an electron. This allows for the generation and maintenance of an electromagnetic current without the presence or physical movement of an electron. Universality of electromagnetism. This principle applies to any field level, matter, antimatter, or dark matter, provided that the force difference between two fields is equal to the magnetic field strength of an electron. The electron in space. Keshe describes the electron not as a point particle, but as an environment of fields in space. The electron as space. An electron is nothing more than a space in an environment where the total effect of all magnetic fields from all matter and fields can be detected or contained. The electron, therefore, is a plasma, just like the proton, although on a smaller scale. Structure of the electron. The electron possesses the same structure as the proton, including its three states of matter, antimatter, and dark matter, but in different proportions. Its content is proportional to the neutron plasma before its decay into a proton and an electron. Motion of the electron. Its uncertain motion or orbit around the proton is due to the continuous repositioning, alternating attraction and repulsion, of the smaller matter particles of the electron with respect to the larger magnetic fields of the proton. Protomagnetism and neutromagnetism. The concept of current is not limited to electrons. Protons and neutrons also have their own versions. Protomagnetism. It is the flux of magnetic fields equal in strength to that of a proton. These fields are the basis of cosmic magnetic field storms and have more profound effects on the structural integrity of galaxies than electromagnetism. Neutromagnetism. It is the p. Neutron stars are regions in the universe that carry a magnetic field strength equal to the total strength of the magnetic fields of a neutron entity. Keshe states that neutron stars actually emit magnetic fields with the magrav strength of a neutron and are not necessarily composed of tangible neutrons. Permanent magnets. The property of a permanent magnet is explained by the balanced interconnection of fields in the atom. Monomagnetic fields. Permanent magnets are monomagnetic magnetic fields found at the level of the matter mass components of an electron's plasma, in sequence with the proton's plasma matter mass of its element. Interconnection. A permanent magnet is created when the proton and electron plasma matter fields of an atom achieve continuous interconnection and field equilibrium, e.g., iron in Earth's magrav environment. Environmental dependence. The magnetic properties of any matter are dependent on the ambient magrav. Iron may not be magnetic in most locations in the universe, as its permanent magnetic properties depend on the specific magrav environment. Mr. Keshe explains the difference between conductors and superconductors through the lens of Keshe's unified field theory, where energy flow is understood as the movement of plasma magnetic fields, PMTICs, not necessarily of physical particles. Conductors versus superconductors. According to Keshe, The confusion in current physics regarding conduction and superconductivity stems from a failure to distinguish between the physical motion of the electron and the flow of the magnetic field force. Conductors. In conductors, electric current is caused by the physical motion or vibration of the electron within the matter. Mechanism. The electron moves or vibrates with the intensity of its field, causing the current to flow. Losses. This electron movement requires kinetic energy, resulting in resistance and losses, heat dissipation. Superconductors. In superconductors, current flow is caused by the flow of an electromagnetic field with a strength equal to that of an electron's magnetic field, without the electron physically moving. Mechanism. The current is the flow of the electromagnetic field through the material structure. Structure. The molecular or atomic structure, the crystal lattice, of the material is so perfectly packed, mention the sp3 or diamond-like structure, that it allows the electromagnetic field to flow without the electron needing to move or vibrate. Advantages. Since there is no kinetic movement of matter, there is zero resistance and zero losses, resulting in faster transmission of magnetic fields. The same field that enters at one end exits at the other, regardless of the length. Current and impedance as May-graphs. Keshe extends the concept of May-graphs to electricity, defining current and impedance as the magnetic and gravitational forces that balance each other in a conductor. Current flow, the magnetic field when a power source is connected to a component, e.g., a light bulb, the component has a lower magnetic field strength, negative gradient, than the source. This field difference causes the field to flow from the source to the component. This is the electromagnetic current. Impedance, the gravitational field at the same time. The current flow creates an opposing attraction or gravitational field between the source and the component. This attractive force that pulls on the fields is the field impedance. Planetary analogy. Current and impedance are compared to a planetary system. Current. The outgoing field flow or repulsion is the current or electromagnetism. Impedance. The incoming gravitational field or attraction is impedance. Key experimental point. The separation or melting of a wire is not due to heat, but to the repulsion of the atoms because the wire cannot maintain the constant gravitational equilibrium of its atoms. Chapter 23. Conclusion. The unified field. The conclusion is that all physical phenomena are unified under the concept of the magnetic field. Common origin. Electric charge, magnetic fields, and gravitational fields have a single origin, the magnetic field. The great link. Gravity. Attractive effect between two dissimilar poles of magnetic fields. Magnetism. Repulsive effect between two like poles of magnetic fields. Mass. Difference in force between like and dissimilar gravitational and magnetic fields. Energy. The measure of the magnetic field transferred to the speed at which it can travel in a medium. Electromagnetic current. The rate of movement of a magnetic field from one force to another, its magnitude being equal to the difference of the magnetic field strength of an electron. The unified theory states that the interaction of magnetic fields creates the gravitational field, and the flow of magnetic fields creates electromagnetic current. Mr. Keshe explains the difference between conductors and superconductors through the lens of Keshe's unified field theory, where energy flow is understood as the movement of plasma magnetic fields, not necessarily of physical particles. Chapter 21. The origin of electromagnetism. The central concept is that electromagnetism, the energy of the electron, is constantly produced in the universe due to the simple difference in strength between two fields, without the need for physical matter. Electromagnetism redefined. The production of electromagnetic fields is achieved by simply creating two magnetic fields with a difference in strength equal to the magnetic field strength of an electron. Current flow. This difference in strength between two plasma fields causes a flow of magnetic fields from the stronger field to the weaker one, resulting in an electromagnetic current or flow of electromagnetism. Application in reactors. Keshe states that his gravitational systems can create and maintain different plasma fields in their cores, with a constant force difference equal to that of an electron. This allows for the generation and maintenance of an electromagnetic current without the presence or physical movement of an electron. Universality of electromagnetism. This principle applies to any field level, matter, antimatter, or dark matter, provided the force difference between two fields is equal to the magnetic field strength of an electron. The electron in space. Keshe describes the electron not as a point particle, but as an environment of fields in space. The electron is space. An electron is nothing more than a space in an environment where the total effect of all magnetic fields from all matter and fields can be detected or contained. The electron, therefore, is a plasma, just like the proton, although on a smaller scale. Structure of the electron. The electron possesses the same structure as the proton, including its three states of matter, antimatter, and dark matter, but in different proportions. Its content is proportional to the neutron plasma before its decay into a proton and an electron. Motion of the electron. Its uncertain motion or orbit around the proton is due to the continuous repositioning, alternating attraction and repulsion, of the smaller matter particles of the electron with respect to the larger magnetic fields of the proton. Protomagnetism and neutromagnetism. The concept of current is not limited to electrons. Protons and neutrons also have their own versions. Protomagnetism. This is the flow of magnetic fields equal in strength to that of a proton. These fields are the basis of cosmic magnetic field storms and have more profound effects on the structural integrity of galaxies than electromagnetism. Neutromagnetism. This is the movement of neutron plasma. These are regions in the universe that carry a magnetic field strength equal to the total strength of the magnetic fields of a neutron entity. Keshe states that neutron stars actually emit magnetic fields with the mag-Rav strength of a neutron and are not necessarily composed of tangible neutrons. Permanent magnets. The property of a permanent magnet is explained by the balanced interconnection of fields in the atom. Monomagnetic fields. Permanent magnets are monomagnetic magnetic fields found at the level of the plasma matter fields, MAFs, of an electron, in sequence with the plasma matter fields of the proton of its element. Interconnection. A permanent magnet is created when the plasma matter fields of the proton and electron of an atom achieve continuous interconnection and field equilibrium, e.g., iron in Earth's mag-Rav environment. Environmental dependence. The magnetic properties of any matter are dependent on the ambient mag-Rav. Iron may not be magnetic in most positions in the universe, as its permanent magnetic properties depend on the specific mag-Rav environment. Mr. Keshe explains the difference between conductors and superconductors through the lens of Keshe's unified field theory, where energy flow is understood as the movement of plasma magnetic fields, not necessarily of physical particles. Conductors versus superconductors. According to Keshe, the confusion in current physics regarding conduction and superconductivity stems from the failure to distinguish between the physical motion of the electron and the flow of the magnetic field force. Conductors. In conductors, the electric current. Current is caused by the physical movement or vibration of the electron within matter. Mechanism. The electron moves or vibrates with the intensity of its field, causing the current to flow. Losses. This movement of the electron requires kinetic energy, resulting in resistance and losses, heat dissipation. Superconductors. In superconductors, the current flow is caused by the flow of the electromagnetic field with a strength equal to that of the magnetic field of an electron, without the electron physically moving. Mechanism. The current is the flow of the electromagnetic field through the structure of the material. Structure. The molecular or atomic structure, the crystal lattice, of the material is so perfectly packed, mention the sp3 or diamond-like structure, that it allows the electromagnetic field to flow without the electron needing to move or vibrate. Advantages. Since there is no kinetic motion of matter, there is zero resistance and zero losses, resulting in faster transmission of magnetic fields. The same field that enters at one end exits at the other, regardless of length. Current and impedance as mag-Ravs. Keshe extends the concept of mag-Ravs to electricity, defining current and impedance as the magnetic and gravitational forces that balance each other in a conductor. Current flow, the magnetic field. When a power source is connected to a component, e.g., a light bulb, the component has a lower magnetic field strength, negative gradient, than the source. This field difference causes the field to flow from the source to the component. This is the electromagnetic current. Impedance, the gravitational field. At the same time, the current flow creates an opposing attraction or gravitational field between the source and the component. This attractive force that pulls on the fields is the field impedance. Planetary analogy. Current and impedance are compared to a planetary system. The outgoing field flux, or repulsion, is the current or electromagnetism. And the incoming gravitational field, or attraction, is the impedance. Key experimental point. The separation or melting of a wire is not due to heat, but to the repulsion of the atoms because the wire cannot maintain the constant gravitational equilibrium of its atoms. Chapter 23. Conclusion. The conclusion is that all physical phenomena are unified under the concept of the magnetic field. Electric charge, magnetic fields, and gravitational fields have a single origin, the magnetic field. The great link. Gravity. Attractive effect between two dissimilar poles of matter. Magnetism. Repulsive effect between two like poles of matter. Mass. The difference in force between like and dissimilar gravitational and magnetic fields. Energy. The measure of the magnetic field transferred at the speed at which it can travel in a medium. Electromagnetic current. The rate of movement of a magnetic field from one force to another, its magnitude being equal to the difference in magnetic field force of an electron. The unified theory is that the interaction of the magnetic field creates the gravitational field, and the flux of the magnetic field creates the electromagnetic current. Mr. Keshe explains the difference between conductors and superconductors through the lens of Keshe's unified field theory, where energy flow is understood as the movement of plasma magnetic fields, not necessarily of physical particles. Summary of Mr. Keshe's concepts of the structure of light. Cosmology and fundamental principles. Death of a star. The creation of a supernova and the death of a star are explained as the large-scale equivalent of the half-life of an atom, gradual energy decay. Magnetism. Magnetism is the only thing the world is made of. Everything else is the result of the combination and interaction of its fields of different strength, mass. Magnetism is the origin of existence and the true singularity. The atom, method of atom creation. Atoms originate in the universe from collections of very weak plasma magnetic fields that clump together and share their energies. The universe was created from packets of plasma magnetic fields of varying strength that, by magnetically locking, caused the creation of particles, atoms, and then larger structures. The Big Bang theory is discarded. Correction to the Einstein equation of relativity. Einstein's equation is considered applicable only for very small masses and is incorrect under three-dimensional conditions with multiple external magnetic and gravitational fields. Dark matter, MAFs. Dark matter, or dark matter mass, possesses mass but no visible light. Its existence can only be determined by the weight of its hidden mass, which could be substantial due to its internal gravitational field. Technology and propulsion, reactors. The creation of the magnetogravitational force. The magnetogravitational force is created, and it will be fundamentally independent of temperature and pressure, provided that a homogeneous free-floating plasma is created within a mass of matter. Airborne reactor. Covers the complete design, operation, and control aspects of airborne reactors for space technology. Reactor startup, shutdown, and safety. Explains the systematic startup of dynamic reactors for the creation of gravitational force and energy production, with a startup method entirely different from that used in the nuclear industry. The energy balance of the reactor. These reactors can operate with negligible heat losses. They can absorb heat from the environment, negative temperature gradient, instead of losing it, making them self-sufficient and long-lasting. The creation of gravity. Gravity is due to the interaction of magnetic plasma forces between the same materials within the same body. It explains how gravity can be created and controlled in a reactor. Fusion and Earth structure. Interatomic fusion. Nuclear scientists are attempting fusion against the known laws of the universe. Interatomic fusion, encouraging an atom's electron to return and fuse with its nucleus, is a more practical and simpler method for releasing manageable energy. The Earth's core. The Earth's center possesses additional nuclei, an inner core within an inner core, composed of hydrogen plasmas in a chain semifusion process. This creates the double magnetic field effect, which is the origin of the planet's gravity and magnetic forces. Applications of matter. Decontamination system. A reactor can recycle CO2 and use the O2 to produce pure water and carbon, which can be transformed into industrial diamond or graphite. Graphene production. The separation and recombination of matter molecules, such as carbon and hydrogen, can be achieved at room temperature and atmospheric pressure in simple reactors. System of defense and shielding. A defense technology can destroy any incoming object through magnetic plasma saturation at the molecular level, disintegrating it into magnetic vapor before it can impact the ship. Final synthesis. Light is redefined as a physical, composite, and dynamic entity with its own magagraphs, challenging traditional scientific perception. Nature and fundamental composition. Field entity, PMTIX. Light is not merely a wave or energy, but a tangible entity composed of plasma magnetic rays, PMTIX. It possesses its own gravitational and magnetic fields. Triple composition. Light must have a three-mass structure of matter, transition, and principle to possess magagraphs and be able to find its position in the universe without being absorbed by other fields. Inherent intelligence. Light possesses its own intelligence and logical processing that allows it to dynamically change the mass of its envelope. This ensures it can travel vast distances in any PMTIX environment and survive with minimal losses. Physical conformation. The lensing phenomenon, bending of light near massive objects, is proof of its existence as a physical and dynamic entity with magagraphs. Motion and speed redefined. Helical cylindrical motion. Light plasma travels in a helical or spiral motion as it moves forward. Its natural shape is spherical, but it elongates into a cylinder to travel with less friction and greater speed through space, returning to its spherical shape as its force slows down to become matter. Speed relative to the environment. The speed of light is neither constant nor a maximum. It is determined by the PMTIX strength of the environment in which it is found. In the main MAFS environment, strong fields, its speed is millions of times faster than the speed observed in the terrestrial matter MAFS environment. Technological applications, entanglement and travel. Light entanglement. This is a physical process that allows for instantaneous communication, telepathy, and the transportation of complex molecular structures, such as the entire human body, across vast distances, since light's potential energies are available throughout the universe. Sustainability and transmutation. Light and its MAFs can be used to create matter, food, and oxygen in situ during space travel, without the need for digestion. Light's MAFs can be transmuted into the nutrients the body needs. Propulsion. Future space reactors will manipulate the direction of light's helical motion and utilize the immense force of the principal MAFs to reach speeds that drastically exceed the known speed of light. Light as a spiritual source. The soul of man, man's ultimate destiny, is linked to light. Existence is measured by the light that matter can emit, and the soul of man is the light that confirms his universal eternity. Vision is not achieved through the eyes, but through openness to receiving knowledge through the PMTIX field force of the being structure. That's all, folks. We'll see you again in the third great work of Mr. Keshe, The Creation of the Universe. Thank you for listening. From the Spanish Keshe community, we bid you farewell. It is a true pleasure for us to share the three great works of Mr. Keshe, scientific revelations that transcend known physics. In this second audiobook, light ceases to be merely a measure of speed and becomes the intelligent fabric, the fundamental basis, and the ultimate vehicle of existence. And we have learned that there are no speed limits. Light travels at unimaginable speeds in the main MAFs. Communication is instantaneous. Telepathy and understanding are the most natural form of universal connection. We are plasma beings, friends. May this new understanding illuminate your path and ignite the spark of universal knowledge in your heart. From the new Spanish Keshe, it has been a true pleasure and privilege to be the first to share another of Mr. Keshe's groundbreaking works in audiobook format. We have sown the seed of a new era of science and consciousness, where technology and spirit converge. Thank you all, friends. Enlightenment is with us. Thank you so much. Happy life.